intro and you missed it all. So
This meeting is being recorded.
awesome. Thank you. And wait, actually, if you don't mind, Bill's trying to get on, but while I'm hosting here, can you maybe help him through that? He messaged me that he was having an issue, if you don't mind. All right, can you guys hear me? Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. All right, so what is a tribe? Well, it's kind of a funny word, but I really grabbed hold of this a few years ago. It's from a book called Tribes by an author named Seth Godin. And he defines a tribe as a group of people connected to one another, connected to a leader, and connected to an idea. To me, it's less sterile than sort of the boss employee dynamic. When it's all said and done, maybe it's just semantics, but a tribe being something where we're all knitted together, we're connected to one another, connected to a leader. In the context of this call, obviously that's with myself or even with Wade as well. But at the end of the day, your parks are connected to you as a leader. And so we're connected to this idea of running safe, clean, and fun parks. I know we haven't fully arrived. It's a work in progress every day. But that's a tribe. And so this call here, as I said before, it's designed for our region to share, to strengthen and solidify our efforts in becoming the best at running safe, clean, and fun Sky Zone parks. So that's really the goal. And that's what we're trying to move forward with. So our vision, a call is not anything without a vision. We have to have a vision. And so our vision is we're striving to establish quality parks that are operationally excellent. Keyword there, we're striving. We're not there yet. We're moving towards it though. That's what we're looking to do. That are safe, clean, and fun. To cultivate teams that act with total integrity and love what they do. We believe in building from within, holding to standards, and growing responsibly. So that's the vision, team. That's what we're striving for each and every day. So, guys, becoming guest obsessed. I've talked about it a lot. It's the one thing we really control is how we get in front of our guests. How do we avoid them our guests going to an urban air and booking a birthday party or spending their entertainment dollars at the movie theaters? Guys, we become guest obsessed. We make it about them. And again, even with our teams, if our team members are not having a great experience, neither are our guests. And so we want to become guest obsessed. So when it's your turn, just to sort of lead the discussion, again, we'll do this in partnership. This is our first one. No perfectionism here, guys. We're just trying to grow. We're just trying to learn. You'll have 8 to 10 minutes. Obviously, that's shifted a little bit with the time here, but you're going to cover your section. You're not being asked to talk the whole time, but just facilitate the discussion. I will assist as needed. Some items you may want to cover might be, how are you keeping score in your park? What opportunities do you have in your park? And what creative approaches are you currently using? Again, you may be at the very bottom of your section, and that's okay. You may just open up that 6, 8, 10 minutes at most just to say, hey, what are you guys doing? We just need some help over here. You may be at the very top and you may have much to share as to what's working in your park. But again, it's just sort of an organic sharing between the parks. So to kind of kick things off, we're going to start with Stephanie. General Manager, Shelby Township, came back here in June. We're very happy to have her back. And she is going to talk about the area of greeting. And you can see our scores on the far right there.
Okay. Greeting to me is very, very, we preach it all the time. It's beyond important. It is the first contact. It's the first point of contact for your guest outside of seeing the parking lot and such. So, and since I've come back, it's only been we haven't been always super, super slow, but for the most part, we haven't had a greeter assigned. So a lot of that is based on that. Every single day I'm preaching to the team. I need you guys. We have a counter that you can do this. I know some of the parks you don't. We can see people coming from one angle or another. There is no reason we can't, if we're not like locked in by a guest at that moment, that ourselves or an MOD or somebody up there can't run around and grab the door for them. How special is that if you have a company that takes the time that they can even see you running up to grab the door for them. I don't believe that's happening 3 miles down the road from us. So to me, that's huge. Right there can alter how your guest that's coming in, most potentially for the first time, how they, what kind of experience they're going to have. So if we go into a busy Saturday, that person right there is asking about waivers. If they're coming in carrying a big cake or whatnot, they can communicate to the manager. There is a lot for the greeter to do. So throwing just anybody in that spot to give them hours just isn't going to work. They have to be very diligent, and they have to know, and they have to be very knowledgeable in what they're doing. So again, they're the first point of contact. So most likely they're going to be asking about waivers. If you can catch them before they get to the door, or I meant to say the counter, that's huge. If you can catch them before they get to the overloaded events counter, that's also huge. Yes, we have the QR codes. Those are wonderful. But how nice is it just to catch them right when they get in the door? A lot of times the guest will say, yeah, I've got a waiver. I've got one. And they can be armed with the knowledge, hey, did you fill it out before October of this past year? Well, if they did, then let's get that renewed for you. Let's talk about it before you get up there, stand in line, and then have to come back through. That person is just so important. Let's say they're, as I've already mentioned, let's say they're coming in with a whole bunch of cupcakes and a whole bunch of balloons and a whole bunch of stuff. If that person's kind of tied up a little bit, they can communicate to the manager. They can communicate to the events assistant if they're busy. Like, this is what we have coming in the door. I'm going to help them. I'm going to do this. Hopefully we can get another cashier around the way to help them out. It's all, I just can't stress a greeter enough.
Absolutely.
That's what I got. It's not 10
No,
minutes.
it's awesome. Thank you. And thank you for being the guinea pig going first. And not that, you were trying to be super polished. I mean, you had great content. I appreciate that a whole lot. And you were prepared. Again, for everyone, we're just working muscles. We're working some muscles maybe we haven't worked before, and that's okay. Just growing as a speaker within the region here and sharing your stuff, even if you're not doing exceedingly well. Obviously in greeting, it's not why Stephanie was picked for greeting, but she's doing an 85% right now, which is great, right? Top 20% right now is 75+%. So she's above that top 20%. Canton's nipping at the heels of that as well, which is just great. So we know greeting's important. We know the guests will continue to come back if they are greeted. It's just as important on the greeting as it is on the exit. And, again, this is a shared space where we can talk through what's working, what's not working. But I think in the area of greeting, it just comes down to intentionally doing, holding the standards, and yes, even coaching this area that sometimes feels like a throwaway position, but it's far from it. You can even do role plays around greeting and doing it effectively. So does anybody have any questions for Stephanie or anything else to add? All right. And so with scoring, guys, again, we've said many times before, we share our results, whether it's an audit, whether it's a mystery shop, or it's SMG. We have the Going for Green, the Strive for 5 on Tuesdays, which I love. That's where these are pulled from. These are your third quarter numbers as of right now, or as of Tuesday. And so that's what these numbers represent, if there was any questions about that. But we share results. It's not to shame anybody, but it is to learn from one another. It is to grow from one another. And sometimes it's just to see, hey, it's every bit possible to be at an 85%. Why? Because somebody within our group is doing just that. And there's no reason why one park, say, Canton's doing exceedingly well in an area and other parks aren't, that we're not sharing these kind of things so that we can grow as a region and really as a brand, as a company. So thank you, Stephanie, for going first. I appreciate it. All right. So next up, Mr. Devin Gibson, General Manager, Grand Rapids, June 2022, freshly minted GM, and is every bit present here today. And he is going to be going over the area of cleanliness and just what he's been able to do effectively in his park, some things he has seen, and any help he may need from you guys who are maybe a little bit more pros at this, having done this a little bit longer. Take it away, Devin.
Yeah, so when it comes to our score, so Lance has it at 32 today. It was at 31, which isn't great, but it's a lot better than where it was when I started almost a month ago. So the first quarter, it was at 24%. The previous April through May, so right before I started, was 25%. So that score's been going up pretty slowly, but it's going up. It's going in the right direction. And one of the things, we've done a couple things to kind of get people thinking about that is, so one, I've told everybody, you all play a part in cleaning. It's not any one person's job. So if you're a court monitor, if you see a piece of trash on the floor, like you're supposed to be moving and walking around while you're monitoring, but if you see that there's an empty cup, pick it up and throw it out. It saves us a lot of time at the end of the day. And we've had, if you're at the front, we do the hourly rounds, which has been huge. And I actually feel really good about that right now. The first week or two, it was, if I was here, it was being done, but if I wasn't, it wasn't being done. And now there are several guys that have kind of taken a lead with that, and they'll just walk in the office and say, hey, Devin, where's the hourly rounds checklist? And we created folders for several different things. Part of our issue not only was cleanliness, but it was also organization. So when I think it was my second day here, I realized that our trash bill hadn't been paid in quite some time. So trash was a big issue. And we were piling it. Our restrooms, we have a court right now that isn't, we can't use because the camera doesn't work. So there's a hallway right there that leads to our restrooms. And that was kind of where people were putting trash. So, one person throws a bag of trash, another person throws a bag, the bags are leaking, icy mix that is now melted, and the floor was just like leaking into where people are walking into the restroom area. So one of the things that I talked to Lance about is we actually got a cart that we could throw trash in. So on a day where our trash can's not really easy to get to, so the door, you either have to walk across the court with a bunch of trash, or you have to go through this really narrow passage and then go out a door, and it's just not really easy to do. So we asked if we could get a cart that we could throw trash in. So on a day where we're busy and maybe there's not time to take it out, we can at least put it in that cart, and if it leaks, it's not getting all over the entire floor. So that cart has been huge. It has saved us a lot of messes. And we've even had staff take it upon themselves to see, okay, it's starting to get messy, I'm going to clean it out. I didn't even have to tell anybody about doing that. And we finally had, I got a message the other day and somebody's like, hey, I washed the cart out. So you can see that people are starting to own the cleanliness aspect. And we've gotten a couple really good reviews lately over the last couple of weeks about how the building's clean. But a lot of it, I think, was tied to organization. So, one person would put something one place, another person would put it somewhere else. So just trying to get consistency among the entire staff of where things go. So we created, Lance saw this last week, we created folders that have, so we have a cleanliness folder, we have a HR folder. So if somebody drops off an application, we have it, people know where it goes. We have one for bills. And it even has, like, we put little generic photos that kind of, if you just look at it and don't read the title, you get a good idea of what would go there. So our cleaning scores are going way up. We've been using a lot of steam cleaning rather than using any type of chemicals. We have used a little bit of that, but like that floor where the trash was getting piled up, we just steam cleaned it. And the hourly rounds has been a huge help. And like I said, it's starting to get ingrained now. There's a couple people that are going around and they're getting good at telling somebody, hey, can you go take care of this? Or some of the guys that do the hourly rounds aren't as comfortable about, walking into the women's bathroom and saying, hey, staff. So they'll go grab somebody else to do that. So we had this happen where we had a court monitor that was female, and that was the only one in the whole building. So he went up, gave her the hourly round checklist, asked her to go in the bathroom, and he covered her court monitoring spot until she got back. So I've really have noticed it. I've noticed our cashiers, when it's slow, they'll walk around the counter and go out and just start sweeping. And it kind of piggybacks on greeting. I've been telling people, it's a great opportunity when you're cleaning to actually engage with people. So if you're cleaning out, we have a little entryway that, because we share a building with another company, a furniture store. So there's like a little lobby and then there's 2 doors. So you can walk in, you're in the lobby. If you're out there vacuuming, you can hold the door open for somebody as they're coming in and greet them instantly. So little things like that, not only does it tackle cleanliness, but it also allows us to greet people and have conversations with staff when you're, or excuse me, with customers when you're out walking and cleaning tables and such. So we've done a lot of things with just getting people to do what is expected. So it's becoming ingrained now. Like, I'm in our break room, which about a month ago, 5 of the 6 light bulbs were out. Nobody realized we had light bulbs. We got it organized. We figured out we had several cases of them. We replaced all the lights in here. I came in today. None of the tables, if I could turn my camera, I would, but none of the tables in here are sticky. Staff have been cleaning those. So it's just really, you're starting to see that it's getting ingrained, but we've stressed it every day. And we've still got a way to go. There's little things that I look for, like the windows, like looking along the ledge of the window, has that been dusted? And I've been kind of telling people that, like court monitors, hey, if you're up there and you see that a railing is dusty, you know, let somebody know, or better yet, bring a rag with you. Just do it real quick. When you go on break, just grab one. And then when you come up, wipe it down. And then we don't have to worry about it at the end of the day. So yeah, numbers are going up, but we've come a long way in a little over a month. So any questions or anything?
That was awesome for starters. My question was, well, I've got 2. You've talked about organization. That to me is something with my particular park. It's driving me insane where things are not going where they need to go. Like, I don't even want to get into it. All I know is that there's stuff just every little direction, and every time I think I've got it set, it's the next week a different story.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, did you add that to the hour by hour list, or what are you doing to help with the clutter and the organization of it? Besides, like, well, you said you have the cleanliness folders, but we get deliveries, and if I don't have specific people putting them where they go, they're going in places.
Yeah. Yep. So what we've kind of done is I've been using the phrase, you know, everything in its place, a place for everything and everything in its place. So we have the same issue, and it's still an issue. There's staff kind of look at stuff as everything in this building is a fidget spinner. Like, if there's a pen, they pick it up and they start playing with it and they move it somewhere else. And it's like, well, yeah, we actually needed that pen in the office because we were working on stuff and now we can't find it. So we've just really been trying to tackle that. Like, everything has a place. So if it's a tool, like a screwdriver, it doesn't need to be in the office. It needs to be where all the tools go in our storage area. But we're also like discovering by getting organized, we found a lot of things. And I would say, well, does this work? So for instance, a floor scrubber. We had a floor scrubber. Like, does it work? And everyone's like, yeah, no, I don't think it works. Well, it turned out the line was just clogged. So it just took a little bit of dirty work to get the line cleaned out. We had a floor scrubber that helped us clean the floors quickly and efficiently. But it's still a thing. Like, we still have to work with people on it, but we're getting so much better. But that's what I've been stressing is if it doesn't need to be there, then get it out of the way. We went through last week our counter and just was like, you know, there were all kinds of there that were like, if it doesn't need to be here, then get it out of the way. And find a place for it. And if it doesn't have a place, if it's not needed, then we're figuring out ways to paint stuff or get rid of it. Little things like we find stuffed animals. I don't know why there's just stuffed animals that'll pop up in the place. So we're getting better at it. We have a little off of our storage area. There's a little like hallway. I don't know what it's like. More of like it's where the circuit panel and all that is at. There was a cart there that had 2 items in it. So we're like, we need extra storage in our fuel zone area. So yesterday I had 2 guys go and they cleaned the shelf off, wiped it down, carried all of our boxes out of the fuel zone and put them there. Now we need lids. We we know where they're at, we can go grab them, but they're not taking up space in the, we can use that for syrups and stuff, sodas and the slushy machines. And so it's still a work in progress, but just trying to get people in the habit of everything has a place. You don't need to leave your stuff in the manager's office. We have a break room that we have lockers. You can put your stuff in there. So just trying to get people in those habits.
Real quick, I'll give you a best practice. So when I was on the corporate side, I got to see a lot of different parks. And one of the coolest things I saw was one of our managers in California had worked on a cruise ship, and his park was really small. So they had to really have great space. So he used what he learned on the cruise ship is everything has its place. It has to because of limited space. So he literally had on the floor taped off behind trampolines and in spaces. He taped out where stuff was supposed to go, and it had to fit in that space. And then he took pictures of what the place looked like, the way it was supposed to look. And he hung the pictures up near that area as a job aid, if you will. So as new employees came in, they could just look at the thing and say, this space needs to look like it does in the picture. And it was amazing. Everything had, like you said, had its place and was organized.
Yeah. And it actually came up this week. We had a trampoline break, and we have trampolines, but they're not really organized. So we're spending time trying to go through them. So that's one thing we're doing right now is even organizing our trampolines. We have an extra shelf that we found. So we're like, hey, we're going to take that. We're going to put it here. We'll go get everything organized. We'll set it up there. It's, if we need it, where it's at, we don't have to try to find and look through things. And yeah, I think it's such a critical thing for us here, getting organized. Once we were doing that, other things started to fall into place. And Lance, I saw his comment in the chat about the hourly rounds. The great thing about the hourly list is if you're doing it well, and you've got people continually working, you don't do everything. It's just checking, going around. Hey, are there fingerprints on the windows? Nope, because we just took care of it 10 minutes ago. It's really been helpful and I noticed it. People have started to do, they're not doing anything. They'll just say, let me go grab the hourly rounds checklist and I'll just get it done 20 minutes early. So it's kind of also like a to-do list. So it's been really helpful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Some incredible shares there, Devin. I truly appreciate, just a fresh perspective coming from the outside, because we have a range of talent on this call. You're all talented and you all have different experiences and backgrounds. And so just being able to carry that over, just like Wade was talking about, the guy from the cruise liner, there's things that we can learn from one another and we can sharpen one another. And just a fresh perspective is always nice. Just like an experienced hand who's been doing this for many years, that's always nice as well. So just some really good material there. Before I forget, cleanliness top 20% right now is 61+%. Shelby Township just makes it in 62%. And like you said, Grand Rapids, you're not where you once were, right? And there is a tipping point. You start to try to you create that momentum. You start doing certain things that maybe weren't being done at all, and then exponentially things will grow. And as Wade always puts it, it's easier getting to greatness than maintaining it, but the first step is getting to greatness. And I have no doubt in my mind that each one of us on this call, our parks can get to greatness and be where we need to be. So awesome. Anything else for Devin?
What kind of steam cleaning do you use? Like, is that, I have lots of chemicals, so I can use those. My interest was piqued when you said steam cleaning. And what have you found? Like, does that work better for you, or what's the pros and cons of that?
Yeah, so the steam cleaner was already here. So it was one of those things, we were going through the storage area. I saw it. So we hooked it up, and the floor that I talked about where the trash had been piled up, that thing was just like, it was so nasty. Like, when we started it up, and I started spraying, I had a couple people like from staff walk over and look, and they were just like, that much dirt was on our floor. So the thing I like about it is that it doesn't give a smell. It just, you don't, sometimes you'll use it. Like if you use bleach, everybody knows you just cleaned. Like they can smell it, which there's some benefits to that, but there's no smell. There's no like, the only thing you have to worry about is you're not getting chemicals on you. The only thing you have to worry about is, if you touch something, it could burn you. So, but the one we have, I can take a picture of it, but it was already here. So we've used that to steam clean where the trash was, the back steps that lead out the door where the trash was, because before we had a bin that we could put our trash in, they were using the carts that they use for birthday parties. So disgusting. Somebody's got cake on it one minute, and then the next minute you're putting trash on it. So we're going to use it to steam clean all of those and get those where they need to be. And now people know, like, don't use that, those carts for trash. You use the bin that's back there for it. So we steam cleaned, we had a freezer that was giving us some issues. We steam cleaned that. So yeah, obviously if you're cleaning a freezer where food's going to be, you don't want to be using a bunch of chemicals in it. So we were able to steam clean it, wipe it all down, steam cleaned it twice just to be safe. And it just made such a big difference. So I'll take a picture of the one we have, and it's got a lot of attachments that you can use. The only negative to it is that it's a pretty small tank. So, I mean, if you can do a small area with one time through, but if you're doing anything large, you're going to have to get a bigger one.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. That's really good. If you guys haven't noted, I've been putting in the chat there some key takeaways. Feel free to add your own on there. Hopefully, you guys, each of you are taking notes. We can always stand to learn something. Really, the power in this sort of presentation is just the simplicity of it. I've gone out of my way to just keep this as simple and straightforward as possible, just so we can land the right points where needed. I'd rather have really good substance than style. So very straightforward with the scores and just overall who's presenting. So thank you, Devin, for presenting on cleanliness. If you have any questions or you want to open up further with Devin offline, obviously I would imagine he's game for that, aren't you? I don't know if you heard me there, Devin. Did you hear me?
Oh, can you say that again? Sorry.
It's just that if they have any other questions for you offline, you're willing to engage with them?
Oh, absolutely.
Of course. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Now we're trying to make up time, guys, and I do apologize having the internet connectivity issue at the top of the call. We had some late arrivals too. No harm, no foul, but we're about 20 minutes out, and Bill was going to present on, and Bill is, of course, from Milwaukee. He's November 2021 is when he came through the doors. That was late last fall. He's unfortunately having some microphone issues. But this actually allows for us to kind of move a little more aggressively with our timeline. He was going to be presenting on. What's that?
I can do it now. It was one it was trying to send me to Team Player something, whatever that was.
Awesome. Well, glad to have you. So I'm going to have you just talk about ease of check-in. And yeah, take it away, Bill. Go for it.
All right, I'll try and make it quick so we don't go too long. But I mean, a lot of mine comes, along with like the greeter and that. I mean, right now we're struggling for people, so like our greeting, is more at the check-in at the counter and that. But trying to greet those that come in. If we are behind the counter and no one's there, try and greet them as soon as they walk in the door. Ease of check-in. I mean, the greeter's great. I know. During our busy times, it helped out a lot. So back in the fall, winter, spring, when we're at capacity, like every single Saturday and that, and we had staff at that point to be able to be out there and just direct people for waivers and birthday parties, things like that. So we ran into, quite a few obstacles with that. So we were booking 3 parties checking in at one time, which would fill up the whole lobby with kids of the parties, the parents of the parties, the birthday moms trying to, get their kids in first in that. So, trying to, okay, well, this group's over here, trying to separate them out. So it wasn't trying to look up, well, I'm here for this party. Okay, I got one kid. Okay, well, this kid's for this party. Just trying to be creative with what you can do there. One of the things that worked for us was, talking to the call center and that, and seeing about getting a high capacity day put on our Facebook. So a lot of times, if you know what's coming, if you go online, like 90% of the world goes online before they go somewhere, and you see at least a banner there that warns you before you get there, it's going to be chaos. That seemed to work really good when we could get it on there in time to really alert people of that. But everything, with the ease of check-in is, also the cashiers. So like, I know our MODs, our end of the night managers, basically, like make sure when you're counting out the tills that we're putting back change. So it's not, hey, after my first 2 customers, I need pennies and I don't have any rolls to go to, and I don't have, the manager may be busy, dealing with the giant line saying, like, well, hold on, or buy some from the person next to you. Well, then you run into the person next to you doesn't have them either. So like making sure they're loaded up, making sure, like our wristbands, making sure that card is ready to go before the doors open, all helps with like just ease on the staff, but ease on you. So you're not running around trying to get wristbands and this and that and all put together in the middle of the storm. So signage helped with us a lot for like past 2 days. I think a lot of it was like having a sign outside. So if they are driving past and they can see like we're at capacity, we will be, our next open jump time is 4:00 and, changing that as it goes. But that way they're not getting in the car, getting the kids all out of the car. And that's a struggle, if it's a snow day. And coming all the way inside, and then it's like, Wally World's closed. No way. So I guess those are all the ones that I sort of was able to like think of. But that's all I have.
No, that's
Huh?
I don't know if he froze or not.
And we have a frozen Lance.
I was going to say when he's going to pick back up. But, I mean, the biggest thing that it sounds like you're doing is just being as proactive as possible, just making sure that everything is where it needs to be, making sure that the cash is, where it needs to be, that you have change, making sure that you're staying ahead of any questions, any issues that are going to come up. Because, I mean, you guys were posting a lot in the big group chat about hitting capacity, as we did here in Canton quite a bit, and just staying in front of, hey, we're going to have some people that are going to get all those kids out of the car. They're going to come in with a 15 passenger van, and just keeping them, honest, and just making sure that they know what's going on. Because the biggest part of that ease of check-in is making sure that the guest knows what's going on.
Yeah, and they all drive from like 4 hours away. So, it's always rough.
Yeah. So then that social media aspect for you especially is going to be huge, because you don't want somebody coming up 4 hours and then just being stuck.
absolutely.
Oh, I was just
Yeah.
joking. That's usually just the excuse they give us.
Gotcha. Awesome. Anyone have anything else for Bill? Ease of check-in, that's a big one, right? Sometimes we're on autopilot, kind of assume we can do very little to affect that area. But like I said, I've added some notes based on what Bill was saying, along with a couple other add-ons. So thank you, Bill, for just taking hold of ease of check-in. And really want to just kind of express again from a time standpoint, and I do apologize if you guys are good to 5 after, that will give us hopefully enough time to kind of wrap up the last 2 topics. Again, try to stay within that 6 to 8 minutes. You guys have all done just fine, no worries, but want to make sure everybody has enough time. So thank you for this trial run here and just working with the time frames, guys. All right, so top 20% is 73+%. And we got Shelby Township nipping at the heels of that to get into that top 20%. All right, next up to bat here, we got Patrick Reese. You just heard from him a moment ago, Mr. Canton himself, September 2021 to present. And he is going to talk about this awesome area of knowledgeable team members. Take it away there, Patrick.
One of the big things that we try to focus on as I'm sure everyone does, is just making sure that obviously the team members know what needs to be going on, what the expectation is, and what to do in those downtimes. Because that's as we're talking about things, I'm picking up on part of the reason why we picked these 5 topics is because they all kind of just work together. You know, whether we're greeting, we're cleaning, the ease of check-in, knowledge, friendliness. It's just about being proactive and just staying in front of things. You know, so if a guest is coming in and you want your greeter to make sure that the guest is informed of what's going on, making sure that they know, hey, right now we have this attraction down. Hey, you know, we are, you know, coming up on occupancy. This is the next time that we're going to have, you know, availability, making sure that, you know, when they're up on courts, if you have a parent that's getting upset with us because we're course correcting a child because they're trying to jump 6 to a trampoline, you know, making sure that the new team members know just as much as the more knowledgeable team members. And then just really just keeping in mind that there's going to be times where no matter how much you communicate, some people are not going to digest the information in the way that you delivered it. So it's that constant knowledge. You need to be role playing. You need to be kind of just picking their brains, asking them for feedback, saying, hey, you know, this is what we're doing. You know, you're the one up here, you know, court monitoring. What are you finding, you know, that might be a little bit easier? What ideas do you have? Because this is a constant, ever changing situation. That's at least that those are the big things that we try to keep in mind. You know, obviously we have rules, guidelines, expectations for a reason. And then just obviously circling back to those anytime that those things come into question, just making sure that, again, the staff know what they need to be doing, where they need to be, why they need to be there most of all. And then just constantly asking for feedback.
Awesome. Awesome. I think you said one of the first things you said, Patrick, right off the hop was, I put it as all sections of OSET tie back to the guest journey. They really do. It just follows them through the guest journey. They connect with one another. And so, and you see that with your scores. You see that across the board. As something gets into the 70s, everything else just kind of comes up too, just the same. So, you know, one thing you didn't mention, but just kind of I think is a good thing for the teams to do is quizzing your team. Sometimes that's a more formal quiz that you put out there just for fun. But it keeps their skills sharp. It keeps their knowledge sharp because them being knowledgeable, whether they're new or they're veterans, and you did allude to this and you did say this, ultimately it goes back to consistency from shift to shift, day to day with the guest journey. So thank you for those shares. Did anybody have anything for Patrick? Or Patrick, do you have any questions for the team?
I mean, I don't really have, I guess, any big pressing questions. I mean, I guess the only one that comes to mind immediately would just be, what tactics do you guys take to constantly just make sure that the staff is informed, you know, they're where they need to be, when they're supposed to be there, and they understand that why, more importantly.
Well, I became a big fan of role playing. Lance and Wade made us do a lot of that. Seville and I were training down in Murfreesboro with Hannah and her team. So like my first day, I had our staff actually role play selling memberships. We've done it with injuries up on the court. So that's been really helpful. And it actually creates some good dialogue. You can grab somebody that's been doing it for a little bit, somebody that's newer. Then we had this happen with injuries. The newer guy, because I did his orientation, so he had information the other guy didn't have, and that had been there longer than him. So they were able to talk about that and start spreading that. So role playing was a huge help, and now some of the staff have started doing that on their own time too. So that's been a good tool that Wade and Lance had fun making us practice in person. So yeah, that's been helpful for us.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I was at Bill's Park, and Bill, what was that blonde gal's name? We were having fun doing her role play.
Was it Abby?
Yeah, it was Abby, and because we're doing a $3 icy thing, and we just coached her on how to sell a $3 icy, And then a little while later, I come up there and pretended I was a guest, and she went through it, and then she didn't sell me the icy, you know, and just, you know, had a good time with her. Like, what? No icy? And she's like, oh no, I forgot, you know. So, yeah, you can't underestimate role playing.
And that's in every single area of the park, like just constant role playing. There's that, and there's also the shift huddle that has been, Sky Huddle's been huge getting the information out, as well as, and I would imagine all you guys have the little, like there's a team chat in addition, like just for you and your team. And that has been, like, there's been a lot of information given that way, but the Sky Huddle is really good. Like when information comes from you guys, immediately it goes on the Sky Huddle.
Absolutely. So you're saying use your tools, right? Sky Huddle, WhatsApp chats, home base, messaging, all that, right? Use the tools you have. That's why they exist. Awesome. All right, just due to time here, and I don't want to rush Seville. I mean, we're at 2:54. Everyone's good for like a 3:05 Eastern Standard Time exit. You guys good on that? Two thumbs up. All right. I appreciate you guys a whole lot. If you have any other questions for Patrick, I'm sure he'll make himself available. He's a good guy. And he'll definitely be willing to connect. Or again, for any of you guys on this call, if you guys have things to share in this set area, it doesn't have to be isolated just to this call. So kind of rounding the corner here, our next newest recruit. Oh yeah, top 20%, 59+% for knowledgeable team members. We got Shelby there nipping at the heels of that. Keep at it. I know we can get there. We're looking at Seville Swain, General Manager, Madison, Wisconsin, America's Dairyland, June 2022 to present. And he's been rocking and rolling over there. He's going to take it away with team member friendliness. And I know he's been out there doing a lot of coaching with his team. Feel free to share what's working out there for you there, Seville.
Yeah, so a lot of it is just the current court presence. Sorry, I live by an airport. Hold on.
No worries, man.
It's just a heavy court presence between me and my shift leads. So the way that we engage with our employees is what we ask for them to do with the guests. So the simple, how's your day going? You know, you see the kids playing. It's fun to engage with them, you know, cheer them on. It was hard in the beginning because I think the teenagers don't think it's really cool to interact with small children. And I think that that's where it's the most important, because just can interact with teenagers, but they're there by themselves and they're not the ones that are going to be filling out the surveys. So I really want my staff to interact with the smaller jumpers, the ones whose parents are present, so that they can see that. And a lot of it just comes from putting the right people in the right places. I was telling Wade this, and when we went out to eat, was just certain people have certain skill sets, and it's important to, I have a young man who just became a lead, and it left something open on our courts. And so then we just tried to coach what he had into the people who remained. And it's starting to work out well. John just really loved engaging with the guests, and he really loved asking those questions while still maintaining his authority on the court. And so when we pulled him off and made him a lead, we actually took him from what we traditionally have leads do, and he spends a lot of time just on the court, checking with the court monitors, interacting with the little jumpers, and just ensuring that what he brought is actually being utilized by other court monitors now.
Absolutely. Awesome.
I actually wasn't going to make him a lead, but they told me that that was unfair. I wanted to leave him as a court monitor. He did really well, but they said that, you know, it was unfair to stall him out because of that. But yeah, so now he's a great lead. He's done 2 shifts, but the court monitors that he's worked with, they've improved dramatically.
And
yeah,
he was new, right? You said 30 days, right?
Yeah,
So,
he was new.
Something to say in there, that just identifying very quickly out of the gate that he had that talent and ability, doing that fundamental orientation, all that, recognizing it just led up to that you this guy's going to make it, right?
Yeah, I think the core values that are set like make it easier to pick who's going to be good at the job. A lot of like the company's core values, I think, transfer into how they're going to engage with guests. And so that's something I mentioned too, was that in my hiring process, I'm starting to look for something different, making sure that they fit those initial core values, and I'm gaining it based off of their interest during orientation. How involved they are in that process, that's how I know. Like I told you, the people who look over Braun's story, I'm not a big, they don't tend to do well. Just something about that, missing that relative nature to hard work, because Braun's story is really impressive, starting in fast food to where he is now. And if they can't show interest in that, I think that says a lot about what they're going to be like as an employee. So I just pay attention to those fundamental core values you guys have already set in place when hiring.
That's excellent perception, Seville. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, if you can't see me, my head's been bobbing up and down for like the last 2 minutes. So that's a good thing, Seville. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, company core values. It's like one of my favorite things to present on when I'm doing an orientation, or even, prior to that, an interview cycle, a mass interview type thing. I do enjoy talking to the core values because it dials right back into our DNA, and they're part of that, right? So that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Anything for Seville? Anything to add? Any questions you may have? I know you're coaching like every day, and you've had to discern for yourself, is someone just not coachable? We've had those conversations, like they're just not coachable. and you're picking your battles, as we all have to do, while also trying to hold to those standards as we need to do as well. So it's a delicate balance at times, but can't stress enough. Hiring right out of the get-go, hire the right people, and you're going to avoid a lot of pitfalls right off the hop. So I'll add my thoughts here. So real quick, I have for Seville, key items for friendliness team members. Again, he's available. You don't have to travel all the way out to Madison, although I'm sure he would welcome you just fine. If you had Slim Chickens, he'd welcome you even more. But yeah, he's a good guy and very knowledgeable, very early in the game, and he's doing some good stuff over in Madison. So thank you for your share, Seville. Appreciate you.
Hey, Lance, can I ask him a question then about
Absolutely, you may. Absolutely.
The team members that you deem to be uncoachable? How are you handling that? I've got a handful right now that I'm on the fence about. So curious to hear how you feel.
I'm a firm believer that people will, like, if you have a plan to coach them out, they'll wean themselves out eventually. And I'm a big delegator. So I feel like my team knows when you stop receiving tasks and I'm only asking you to stay at your attraction, you're not being rotated. You're being offered bathroom breaks. I'm giving you time to, go get water, but you're not a part of our bigger process. I think eventually they wean themselves out. And the ones that don't, I just had to let go. There was 3 that I had to let go, but that's it. Like in my park, if you're not being given a task, I don't rock with you. And you can feel that real heavy because my relationship with them one-on-one is a large portion of how they feel about the job it's starting to look like. And so, yeah, when you're not being asked to do those hourly rounds, when you're not being asked to join the team in housekeeping, or like we reorganized our foam pit, I left 2 people just on attraction so that we could mix the colors up around the park. And those are the 2 people who actually just recently have gotten let go. But yeah, they're not a part of my process. You're there. I want you to do your job as a court monitor, but for the greater good of the park, you can't be trusted. So you get no task, no work, and then you get no hours. And then, yeah, you're out.
There's a diminishing quality. There's a diminishing component there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I just like it. You obviously want everybody to make it through that process, but they're not going to, and I'm not going to fire everybody that does wrong. If you have what it takes to notice that something's different in our working relationship and you can step it up, then you're going to be valued even more. So I'm giving you an opportunity for personal growth. Recognize that you weren't up to par, get up to par, make it through this. Most of them don't. I'm not going to lie to you. Most of them are like, I got it good. I don't have to wipe a table. I don't have to cook a pizza. I'm just here. I'm pulling this zip line rope and I'm just sitting there like, your shift is going to somebody else.
But you're clear about that, right? I mean,
yeah, they all know it.
Clear, you're transparent, you're real with them.
I tell them if you don't have hours, it's because you were lacking somewhere where I tried to coach you. That's it. I have a young man named EJ, And right the day after team meeting, I had Wade, Lance, and Will in my park, and he no called, no showed. So he's got shifts on Saturday and Sunday, just housekeeping, a 2-hour period. He showed up. He said, can I get more hours? I said, can I get you to show up? He was like, well, my phone's broken. I don't have access to my schedule. So I wrote down the 2 shifts he worked. I said, make these shifts. We'll have another conversation. If he misses one of those shifts, the conversation we're going to have is it's over for you, man. You've got 2 write-ups already for no call, no shows. You missed your 3rd. 3 strikes, you got to bounce.
Yeah.
Accountability. What a surprise.
Yeah, like I told you guys that I was going to give everybody 30 days to kind of show me, and those 30 days are up for a couple people tomorrow, actually. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I would just move them to less important places until you can replace them. Just don't disrupt the flow of the park. That's like a big thing. You know, you obviously don't want to lay off all of your court monitors and then you don't have the bodies, but you do want to start replacing those people. So if their 30 days are up, I would stick to that and start looking for their replacements.
Oh, those people have been found. So yeah, we'll be good.
Yeah. So then I drop them for sure. You can't feel bad about that stuff, man. The children's safety, the quality of the park, those things are what's important. And if our relationship with our staff becomes more important than those core things, then we're going to put ourselves at a disadvantage every time.
Wow.
Woo.
Awesomely said, Seville.
I could have just let you guys go on forever. You guys want to keep going? You guys can go for a little longer. What's
me and Devin got history. That's why. Me and Devin, we talk so much in Tennessee. We love talking to each other. Like, this is our Zoom call now.
We sat in an ice cream shop, 45 minutes just talking. Just
Yeah.
sit here and talk.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I loved that. It was refreshing to hear you had somebody coming in after, you know, they've been there 30 days. You saw something in them. They're ready to keep going and they're actually, you know, multiplying themselves. One thing that I've run into is that I've got people that are like, I've been here for a year or 2. I deserve this. And it's like, no, and they get very, very insulted that these other people are not, or these other people are potentially getting moved up around them. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm looking for. I hope that made sense. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for those people that want to engage, that want to have fun with our guests, that want to make little thems. Like, longevity doesn't mean anything to me if you're not showing up.
Right.
Yeah, time in employment is a small factor, like in dedication. I feel like most times the longer somebody's been in a position, they tend to drift off, and that's why they don't find themselves there. You have to tell them, like, start like you did before. Like, come in today like this is your first day all over again. Because after a year, you think you're seasoned. You're not really. Your eye isn't even as sharp after a year. That's why we, as like general managers, we're constantly moving up new eyes towards us, aren't we? We're moving court monitors to shift leads to managers. It's because after so long, even we start to see things differently, and having those new sets of eyes just keeps us fresh and going. So people who have been there a year, they just got to refresh their game. I had a guy leave after my team meeting because he had been there a year and he thought he was going to get the training position. But dude, you trained nobody. In the month and a half I've been here, I've seen you train 0 people and you don't make your shifts. John did, so. And he sent me a big paragraph and I just said, if you'd like to come talk to me, you can, but I don't think he wants to because he knows what's his argument for why he should have gotten it over John.
Excellent.
But I like new people. I'm a big fan of new people. I love giving new people opportunities. They eat them up and they do great at it. They're so eager. Like John was so eager. I was like, would you like to train 3 people today? He was like, yes. I was like, for real? And he said, yeah. And I was like, all right, this is unlike anything else. Everybody I asked that day who had been there for 4 months or 5 months, they all said no.
Yeah.
They didn't want to train.
We had I've been doing the orientations for the last couple of weeks just so I can set what the standard is. And I had a girl, I talked about cleanliness and I was like, that's been a huge issue here. So you've got to be involved and take an active role in that. And as I was doing the tour, she picked up like 2 pieces of trash, and I didn't even say anything until the very end. It was like, hey, I saw that, so I want you to know that I saw that. I was like, you will go far with that attitude. So yeah, the new people are great.
Awesome. And I imagine you guys are looking to start them right. Proper orientations, right? I mean, you're starting them correctly. That's super important.
Orientation is gold. It's literally right there for you. And it's worded out. Like, if you want to, you could literally just follow the back page and still get all of the information. It just won't have any flavor, like, cause you got to put your own on it, but it's all the information that you and they need to feel like very valued by the company and then come on to a strong start. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think
That is
having you, that's a big switch though. Like, you coming on as like a new regional, I think that it allowed like a lot of these other changes though. So like, I'm not saying that all of these things work, but for my staff, they realized that like the guy that we had grew close with for a month is no longer, you know, Seville's boss, which means our boss has changed. And I think it's encouraged them to kind of step their game up because they're like, we don't know this new guy. You two definitely coming to my park. That scared, you know, that put them there like, oh my God, people came to visit. It's like, yeah, calm down. Like, but yes, this is the reality of our company. We're bigger than Madison, and you guys coming, I think, helped. And so now they have a different view of it too. They're like, okay, people really care about Madison. I remember we had that conversation, Lance, where I said, you know, I want to know that our goals in Madison are the same as we go up the chain. And I think you guys coming and working on attractions and being there, and Wade's interactions with all of my team members, saying hello, saying goodbye, asking their names. Once you guys left, I think the ones that they were like, wow, this is bigger than Madison.
Yeah, super important.
They're bigger than Madison. I had to tell them, you're part of something awesome. And you get to jump for free. Like, come on, man. My job, I worked in retail. It was horrible. I folded clothes, and then I worked at Pizza Hut. It was even more horrible. All my high school jobs sucked. I wish there was a Sky Zone.
I've said that so many times. That's funny. That's funny. Well, tell your team. I mean, yeah, next time Wade and I, we won't travel together with muscle tees on. We're not trying to intimidate anybody.
Seville, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome to hear, man.
We read your note every day too, just so you know.
Awesome.
We've read it every day so far. Somebody has pointed it out. They're like, who left that? I'm like, that's Wade. And then they read it. And so I've heard it every day. It's real encouraging stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. I think I'm gonna have to send you guys some mail. I'm feeling a little left out. I got to put something on that wall of yours.
Yeah, I have a wall by my desk. I love when people post like all the information. I'm old school, so I need everything on paper. Everything needs to be on paper for me. The emails are cool, but I print everything off and we staple it. We tack it to the wall around my computer, so it's just like covered.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Seville, for all your shares. Really, thank you to everyone. Anybody have anything quick for Seville? Any questions, thoughts?
Seville, did you get my email with the links to your survey?
I did, yeah. So I'm gonna shoot those out. Yep.
Cool.
That's like and then we started reading them. We found the ones that were actually answered. And so we're getting a better insight of what our staff actually see for themselves.
You want to share real quick what you did there?
Yeah. So we did a team meeting and we handed out the expectations, the responsibilities, and like what the qualifications for team member positions are and lead positions. And we gave them out at our team meeting, and they have surveys on the back. So they say things like, why do you like working at Sky Zone? Where do you see yourself in a couple of years? How much longer do you see yourself working here? So a lot of the information that was given to me is a lot of the people that were getting a ton of my hours, they said 3 to 6 more months. And that kind of hurt because they're getting all of my hours. And so on my next schedule, I had to mix things up because you only see yourself. And when I asked them, that's just what they said was, that's it. They had no real reason for why. They didn't say they wanted to be a lead or anything like that. They just said 3 to 6 months. So I had to move some hours around on my schedule. But that's what we did is we gave out team surveys for team members and leads. And I had the expectations, the qualifications, and the responsibilities of their job. And we had them fill them out at the team meeting.
Can I get a copy of that? I have a team meeting coming and I would love, like, that's such a wonderful tool to use.
Stephanie, I
Yeah,
can get you a
weight
link that you
has-
can send in
Right.
Homebase.
Yep.
So I'll send you the link to his, but don't share that one because it's just for Madison. I can create one just for your part. But
Okay.
if you want to change the questions or anything on there, I just use the questions that Seville typed for me. So if you say, I want to have these questions, I can create it for you and create the link.
Awesome. Thank you.
It is awesome.
that
Anybody
goes
else
for
want to do
anybody,
something
by the
like
way.
that? I'm sorry, what?
I was just gonna say that goes for anybody on here.
Yeah, just there we go. We're thinking the same.
Wade,
Anybody
were
who
you
wants
gonna make
that, let
one
us know.
for us? We had talked about it at the team meeting. Were we still gonna do one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'll again, here's what I'm gonna do right now. Everybody, I'm gonna share the link in the chat box here for that survey. 1 second here. And this one is for the team member survey, but please do not share this one and do not answer it because this is Seville's for his park. So you'll, but if you want to look at what he, 1 second here. If you want to look at what questions he asked, you can either use the same or you can totally say, these are the questions I want to ask and just shoot them over to me and I'll create it for you.
Awesome. So while Wade is doing that, I'll kind of head to the finish line here. You said you're going to put that in the chat right there, Wade?
Yep, coming right now.
Yeah, no worries and no rush. I just don't want to close this thing out and then have them gone. I think they just arrived. There, I see it now. Just about. Okay, cool. All right, so guys, just some amazing shares. I appreciate your time today. Top 20% in team member friendliness, 63+%. Shelby Township right there. We got some others that are coming up as well. OSAT comparison, third quarter to second quarter. This was the going for green on Tuesday. Canton, number 1 right now at 58%. Shelby, number 2 at 57%. Grand Rapids, 55%. Madison at 33%. And Milwaukee at 26%. With this, guys, top 20% is 65+%. So we have no one quite there yet, but just a series of small changes can really make a big difference. Always remember that. Things do pick up momentum. Keep doing the right things and keep doing quality things, and good things will happen. And share with each other, just like we're doing here, guys, so we can go from strength to strength. No reason for one park to do really well and everybody else to struggle, and for us not to share, or the opposite. So next call is going to be August 18th, 2022. That will be the third Thursday of next month. Can't believe we're already going right into August. Do you guys have any questions for this call before we go? Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been enjoyable. And I think we got a lot of key learnings out of here. Take the time to take what's in the chat room there, the chat function that has a bunch of different details for you to bring back to your team. And I'm sure, I hope at least, you took some notes for yourselves. All right, guys. Thank you. If you're all set to go, I'm all ready to go as well. Let's have a good week. Let's sell some ices. Let's run safe, clean, and fun parks. Let me know if you need anything.
Yep. Bye, guys.